Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritland, and these are 10 WrestleMania matches that pissed me off. Because who doesn't love a good rant? Evidently, you guys do. That's why you tune in. You want to see if I'm going to be positive or angry about some aspects of wrestling. And in all my years of watching wrestling, there have been certain things that have stuck out to me as being really goddamn insanely bad. And that's pretty much what this list is. I could have made it a top 20 because as many great to legendary matches have happened on the grandest stage of them all, there have been some that have been so mind-numbingly stupid, badly booked, the wrong winners, just absolutely terrible in the ring, whatever the reasons are. A combination of all these, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's just some matches just are really, really bad, but these ones stick out quite a bit. So I could throw some honorable mentions, and I will. Asuka versus Charlotte, because Asuka should have won. And Cena versus Rusev. There are countless others, I'm sure, but those are two that stick out. But let's just get into the top 10. We have Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 28. They tried to make Sheamus the new guy, the new face of the company, and the fans were not fucking having it. They were goddamn pissed off. Oh boy, were they ever. It was 18 seconds. Daniel Bryan lost the World Championship after only holding it for a few months. And it would only get the fans behind Daniel Bryan and get the fans to really hate Sheamus, who was trying his best and actually had a pretty good world title run, despite the fact he feuded with Alberto Del Rio for about 12 months of the 6-month reign. Don't ask me how that works out, but it seemed to take forever. Daniel Bryan would eventually ascend to the main event, then have it taken away, and then the fans would say, oh no, fuck you, you're putting him in the main event again. This backfired horribly, and it wasn't even Sheamus' fault, but my god, this match still bothers me to this day. We then get number 9, Hogan versus Sid at WrestleMania 8. Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for the WWF Championship, and it was WWF at the time, was on the undercard. This was the main event. And my god, was it a labor. It wasn't a labor of love. It wasn't a labor of anything. It was just a labor. It was bad. Sid and Hogan did not really have good chemistry. Despite the build that they had that actually wasn't all that bad, nope. They just had a really laborious match. Papa Shango missed his cue. Sid had to kick out of the leg drop. And then Hogan would win on a DQ. And then Warrior would make his return. It just, my god, it was so bad. It was so fucking bad. So fucking terrible. And it didn't even benefit anybody. It made the WWF Championship, which was always featured in the main event, until this point. It made it seem kind of meaningless. And it wouldn't be the last bad usage of the championship. Don't worry, I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but this is just fucking terrible. And it should have actually been at least decent, but no, it was bad. We then get to number 8, John Cena versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30. If Bray had won, then it would have made sense. But he didn't. This killed off Bray's character, and it did. Now, I mean, you could argue all the stuff about Bray, about The Fiend and Goldberg that just happened recently at Super Showdown. This incarnation of Bray Wyatt needed to beat John Cena on the grandest stage of them all, and they didn't go that route. And it was fucking stupid. Yes, he won a match at Extreme Rules, and how'd that work out for him? It was overbooked nonsense. It didn't benefit anybody. The match itself wasn't that bad, but all they had to do was have Bray win. Even if he lost the next two matches, he would have beaten John Cena at WrestleMania. And the fact that he didn't, what the fuck? It was so fucking stupid. I will never understand how they could not have seen this staring them right in the face. It's like, hey, we have a chance to make a guy who's, reinvented himself. He was Husky Harris, and now he's reinvented himself as Bray Wyatt. Let's give him a chance. Nope, let's just go with John Cena. And then they wondered why fans were starting to give up on the company even in 2014, and why ratings have been going down for a goddamn while. But then we get to number 7, Bret Hart versus Bob Backlund I Quit match with Roddy Piper as a special guest referee at WrestleMania 11. What do you say? What do you say? I love Roddy Piper. Don't get me wrong. I got the shirt back there. I love Roddy Piper. I've talked about Roddy Piper's matches at WrestleMania, particularly that one with Bret Hart just a few years before at WrestleMania 8. It was a great goddamn match for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm getting so crazy, I'm starting to run out of breath because I'm trying to say all these words in one breath without taking a breath. But anyway, this match was shit. And Bret and Bob Backlund had a great match on Superstars in July of 1994. It should have worked out well. It didn't work out well. Survivor Series was better. Not great, but it was better. It did go on a little bit long. This one was supposed to be somebody says I quit. Bob Backlund just ended up saying yes. I mean, which, okay, you know, he submitted, but the whole stipulation was to say I quit, and it was just so bad. WrestleMania 11 was not a good WrestleMania. I mean, when your best match was Diesel versus Shawn, and even that was maybe 3 stars at most, it's not saying much. Oh, yeah, and Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor was the main event. Yay! That was a good idea. That was a really good idea. No, it wasn't. Number 6, Undertaker versus Big Bossman, Hell in a Cell match, WrestleMania 15. WrestleMania 15 was shit. It was absolute shit. Austin versus Rock was the only saving point of that. Kane versus Triple H was okay. But everything else was just either thrown together. It was a mess. None of the titles meant anything except the main championship. And Rock and Austin basically saved it from being a complete shit show. But this Hell in a Cell match, the worst Hell in a Cell match, at least of all, close to the worst of all time. You could argue maybe they had, maybe the one that they had on Raw in '98 that was more of a segment than anything, but at least that served a purpose. Sort of, it hyped up the whole Hell in a Cell concept. This was a match that didn't need to be in the cage, and ended with the Big Boss Man being hung from a freaking rope. I mean, he obviously had a harness and everything, so he wasn't actually doing that, but his face was turning red. He was doing a good job making it look like he was getting hung, because after he got beat, the Brood came down, dropped the rope through, he got hooked up to the harness, and he got in and everything and all this kind of stuff, and he stopped moving. It was a public hanging on pay-per-view, and then Michael Cole started talking about other stuff right after the lights went out. Look, 1999 was a rough year for WWE creatively. Yeah, nothing they could do would, turn the ratings down at all, because WCW was just making so many goddamn mistakes, and ECW, bless them, wasn't able to get on national TV soon enough before a lot of their stars went away. Even though their pay-per-views were delivering some great goddamn matches, WWE was king. But stuff like this made me question how they ever were as successful as they were. Because, my God, a public hanging, good Lord, this was bad. This was really, really motherfucking... I cannot believe that they allowed this, even in '99. It was so fucking ridiculous. Like, I get that the Attitude Era is more wide open and more balls out and stuff like that, but just, you can't tell me this is entertaining. It just was. It wasn't even entertaining to me when I was 18 watching the pay-per-view. Like, what the fuck is this? What the hell's going on? This is fucking stupid. Number 5, Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. Stone Cold Steve Austin is a special guest referee, WrestleMania 27. Okay. My feelings about Jerry Lawler being a, piece of shit Trump supporter and a piece of shit pedo, aside, if you're going to capitalize on the character of Jerry Lawler, and you've had him in the company since late 92, early 93, so you could have had him at WrestleMania 9 all the way through 26. You could have had him in any number of matches, a couple or whatever. This is the first match that Jerry Lawler got to have at WrestleMania. And it was against Michael Cole. A feud that nobody wanted. Heel Michael Cole, okay, maybe he was allowed to go out there and call the fans losers and basically call the fans what we've been calling him for a while. Michael Cole is doing the best he can and is basically a corporate shill for Vince. When he doesn't have Vince screaming in his ear, sure, he's fine. But this was an announcer versus a, very part-time wrestler. And, in not even the twilight of his career, he was pretty much in the dark ages. He was pretty much in, like, the darkness of his career. He didn't have much of a wrestling career, though his match with The Miz in November of 2010 wasn't that bad. And then he got to have a match a little bit later. I think it was at the February pay-per-view. I think it was at 2011 Elimination Chamber. That wasn't bad. But then you had Michael Cole, you had all this stuff going on. No one asked for Michael Cole to be in a goddamn match. And the fact that this was one of the longest matches on the show, this might have eclipsed Rock's opening promo segment. And that was just a promo segment. This was like 10 times as long, or at least, like 9 times as long as the 8-man tag match that happened. Like, where it was the core, because they had 2 R's in there, against the Big Show's team. That was ridiculous. This was longer than so many other matches on the goddamn card. And it was for Jerry Lawler, who really shouldn't have been in a long match at that point. He should have beaten the shit out of Michael Cole and beat him in like 5 minutes. And then you could have had Michael Cole be his, be his usual jackass self and everything and extend the feud that way. But Michael Cole winning at WrestleMania was ridiculous because Jerry Lawler would win and then the anonymous Raw general manager would overturn that. And just, it was ridiculous. And also Jack Swagger, who's now Jake Hager, was just put there as, a pawn to Michael Cole after winning Money in the Bank at the previous WrestleMania. So that shows what they thought of him, which might have been a good thing. Might have been the best use of him not being in the ring and being about as uninteresting as white bread. But God, Jerry Lawler losing to Michael Cole. Just on the surface of it. Just wrestling character to wrestling character, so fucking ridiculous. And this is one of the reasons why WrestleMania 27 is one of the worst WrestleManias of all time, and why it deserves that label. Number 4, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal at WrestleMania 25. Santino was in drag, winning. A man in drag won a women's Battle Royal. The women weren't treated all that well in WWE anyway by this point, even though there were some good talents. At first, I would have found it entertaining. I didn't even find it entertaining back then, I gotta be perfectly honest. Had I been doing reviews back then, I probably would have ranted heavily on this. But this was fucking ludicrous. Fucking ludicrous. And they wondered why so many, fans just were conditioned, basically, or just did not care about the women's matches. Because even with the talent that they had, who the fuck's going to care when you just give it to a man who's not all that funny and not all that great? A man in drag, you're going to have it be Santina Marella. You're going to have it be his sister. And then they had Santina appear at the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble most recently, and something that was a joke and it wasn't necessary and everything. It was an unnecessary character. It was bullshit. And I fucking hated it. And it was bad then. And it was bad now. And it's fucking stupid. And then, of course, you got Santino being all transphobic and shit and stuff like that in later years. But whatever. I guess maybe he took too many shots to the head with his own goddamn Cobra puppet. It's just this fucking match. It was like, you're throwing all these women out there. First, you had Kid Rock do a performance, which was already goddamn stupid because Kid Rock sure isn't a respectful individual or respected at all, except respected by morons. And sorry, if you're a fan of Kid Rock, cool. I don't really care because Kid Rock's a goddamn idiot and people know why I think that. This was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the women, a slap in the face of so many talented women there. Nope, let's give it to Santino. And then let's extend this character out for a while. But it only gets worse from here. Bret Hart versus Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9. Less for the fact that it was Bret versus Yokozuna in a match that wasn't all that bad. It was what it was. Nope, it was because of the aftermath. Yokozuna wins, and the match was cut short for time because Yoko got winded and did the go-home stuff sooner. And then Yokozuna issued a challenge to Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan cashing in Money in the Bank before it was ever a thing, and winning the championship 20 seconds later. That's why this match is up there, because it turned back, any momentum the company had, where they had to basically rebuild from the ground up for at least a year. And I would argue didn't really even get much better until about, WrestleMania 12. WrestleMania 10 was a good start where Bret had won the championship from Yokozuna like he should have, or kept, or closed the show as champion. But my God, just if Yoko had closed the show, fine. It is what it is. But it's the Hogan aftermath, the goddamn bullshit, and the fact that he wasn't even with the company all that much. He had come back for a little bit, had a tag title match with Brutus Beefcake against Money Inc., and didn't win the championships because he felt the tag titles were beneath him, even though it might have helped elevate the championships. But no, Hogan couldn't do that. He had to steal the championship and steal the spotlight. And then he would lead the company soon after and wouldn't put Bret over. Because God forbid, that would make too much sense. So now we move on to number 2. It's Triple H versus Sting at WrestleMania 31. Hey, let's have Triple H and Sting, two icons of other promotions, of different promotions, clash, even at this stage of their career. Okay, they could put together a decent match. They could do that, or they could have the NWO and DX come in a clash that nobody fucking asked for. And I'm all about nostalgia. I don't mind nostalgia. I understand they wanted to do it at WrestleMania and have some fun. Cool. Sting was in the NWO Wolfpack for like a cup of coffee. It was like till what, not Wrestle. It was till like Halloween Havoc 98, I think. And then he would still be the Crow Sting, but he wouldn't be part of the NWO. It was fucking ridiculous. And then Sting should have won. But no, Triple H won. After all this bullshit and all this stuff, he used the broken sledgehammer stuff and beat Sting. And then Sting shook his hand. It's like, okay, maybe it's Sting's last match. But he wanted it to be his only match in WWE. He still should have won. Triple H didn't fucking need it. But nope, we're just gonna do this and overbook it like crazy and piss every fan off. And a lot of fans were pissed off. There are some people that may disagree, and that's okay. You guys, if you like Triple H winning, fine. I don't. And I thought it was dumb. And it's not even because he was a heel, because I don't know who the fuck the heel was supposed to be there. Sting had a cool intro. And then you had Hogan, Hall, Nash, and you had DX, and you had all this, and you had X-Pac, who must have been torn because he was in both groups at one point. But just, this match overbooked motherfucking mess. I can't fucking believe that this match was the worst one. Wait, no it wasn't. Triple H versus Booker T, World Heavyweight Championship, WrestleMania 19. Someone like you will never be champion. People like you are here to make people like me laugh. Fetch me a towel. All this stuff. But no, according to Bruce Pritchard, stupid fat-faced fuck Bruce Pritchard, and yeah, I'm going to throw that out there because Bruce Pritchard's a goddamn moron. Nope, it wasn't a racist storyline, it was a WCW storyline. Bruce Pritchard being the goddamn corporate shill that he is, the piece of shit that he is, driving SmackDown into the goddamn ground because he's a creative moron. He's void of any creative genius. No, it's not a racist storyline. Booker T was just a WCW guy. Yes, he was a WCW guy. And no, whoever in creative thought that this was going to be just WCW versus WWE, nope, it ended up being racist. Now, if Triple H had any influence in on this and did not put the kibosh on that, then guess what? He deserves as much blame as anybody else. Whoever greenlit this should be slapped. This is fucking revolting. Making jokes and stuff like that and everything and talking about Booker T's upbringing is one thing. And all this wouldn't have fucking mattered. This match wouldn't even be on here if Booker T had won. Except he didn't. He didn't fucking win. Triple H hits the pedigree and takes like 23, 25, 30 seconds, whatever, to cover him, barely gets a finger on him, and pins him. Buries Booker T horribly. He would never be taken seriously as a main eventer, at least for a while. Yes, he would have a little bit of a feud with Triple H and like a six-man tag, part of a six-man tag at Backlash 2003, and then would be just move right back down the card into the Intercontinental Championship picture, you know, when they brought that back after stupidly getting rid of it. But now Booker T could have been a world champion, even for 6 weeks, and then have Triple H win it, and then Triple H could have feuded with Kevin Nash. They just had to justify it by having Booker T win, and they didn't fucking do it. And it's fucking revolting. It's fucking stupid. Man, I swear a lot. Anyway, that's what I gotta say. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.